Hi, welcome back. I'm the Book Guy, and today we're talking about the young adult series, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a hugely popular YA series about a teenage girl called Avery who is randomly left the entire fortune of a billionaire even though she has no connection to him whatsoever. She has to survive until her 18th birthday to actually claim the money, and she must follow a trail of clues to uncover family secrets and solve the great mystery. It's surprisingly intricate. I'm excited to talk about this one today because normally on my channel I review fantasy and sci-fi, but this is a contemporary series, mystery and thriller. It's a bit off genre for me, but I'm happy to highlight some good quality young adult books that offer simple, easy to read stories that are still smart and well written. Mostly. A quick note before we begin, there's actually quite a few books in this series, and I'm not going through all of them today. So let me just highlight, the series has the original trilogy, The Inheritance Games. There's a bridging novel, Brothers Hawthorne, a collection of short stories, Games Untold, and there's the sequel trilogy, The Grandest Game, which has the third and final book coming out this year. Now today, I'm just reviewing the original trilogy and the bridge novel, because those are the four I've read, and personally, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to continue with the series, and we'll talk about why later in the video.
I got a bad feeling about this.
For now, let's look at this series spoiler-free, listing some strengths and weaknesses, and we'll see if it's something that you might like to read. Avery is a high school student in the US trying to earn a scholarship. But literally out of nowhere, the billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves his entire fortune of $30 billion to Avery, even though they've never met.
I've never met this man in my life.
In order to claim her inheritance, Avery must live inside the Hawthorne super mansion for a year and a half until her 18th birthday. If she does not survive until then, the money returns to the Hawthorne family. Avery has suddenly become a famous celebrity, the richest teenager in the world, and every detail of her life is now ruthlessly scrutinized by the public. Many members of the Hawthorne family are furious with her for taking what was theirs and may be willing to kill to get it back. But there is one way out of this mess. The Hawthorne house is a labyrinth filled with secret passages, riddles, and uncrackable codes. If Avery can solve this elaborate puzzle, it may just reveal all of the Hawthorne's family's darkest secrets. This story is surprisingly intricate, and that's entirely why I wanted to make a review about this series, because it's more complex than you normally get in the young adult genre.
Smarter than the average bear.
You see, young adult books should be easy to read. That's kind of what the point of them is. We need more books like that to make reading accessible for everyone. YA books should be a little bit simple. But, as Terry Pratchett wisely said, where people go wrong is thinking simple means the same thing as stupid. Sometimes YA books can have shallow stories with big plot holes and glaring weaknesses, and then the label young adult is slapped on as a fix-all solution. But a good young adult story can be rich with many layers of meaning and even have intricate plot lines. Inheritance Games is a great example of that, of how you can have an intricate story that's still easy to understand and follow. It's not dumbing down the story, it's just explaining it enough so younger readers can keep up. So we have three types of intricate plots over the course of this trilogy. The first category is quite literally just survival. There are real-world dangers that Avery must face in this mansion. There's jealous family members, paparazzi, and literal death threats from both inside the family and outside. To be clear, Avery has also inherited a security team, but they've got their work cut out for them.
Sector is clear. Not clear. Not clear.
This plotline brought real stakes and consequences to the story. That's why the series is not just a fun little game for money, it's life and death. The next category of plotline is the puzzles. So this is probably where the bulk of the story spends its time. The mansion is the ultimate puzzle. We're talking invisible ink and anagrams and riddles and codes, just all those cool things. Think like the Da Vinci Code, National Treasure, Indiana Jones, maybe the Saw franchise. Okay, maybe not quite like Saw. This puzzle plotline is just fun as hell. The puzzles are damn good, they're fun to solve, and the solutions are very clever. The third type of plot is the family secrets, and this was my favorite plotline. The Hawthorne dynasty has a long, complex, dark history. We have the recently deceased Tobias as the patriarch of this family. The second generation are his 3 kids and their respective partners, and he has 4 grandsons. So many of these characters have a secret past of their own, and this grand game is about bringing all of those dark secrets into the light. These 3 types of plots actually interact with each other very well, and there's overlap. So it doesn't feel like the puzzles are the low-stake plotline over there next to our survival life and death plotline. Everything's connected really well. Yet the best part is that they all have flawless logic. I can't tell you how many YA plot twists I've read that just felt slapped on and came out of nowhere just for the shock value, but everything here fits. The puzzles, the death threats, the secret reveals, all felt thought out and planned. It was intricacy on purpose, and I think the success of the series is because people are just genuinely eager for young adult books that have smart plot lines. That said, I'm not sure every aspect of this series was as strong. In my honest opinion, I think most of the characters in the series are based on common character tropes. I found this part a little underwhelming. I will say in its defense that trope characters are pretty normal in young adult books. Also, there's clearly an effort made to make them deeper than just their starting trope. And the story focuses so much on just intricate plot lines, so it kind of makes sense that it goes a bit simpler on character. Still, our main protagonist is Avery, and she's a lot like every teenage girl ever. She starts out very much as a blank slate character, someone the reader is clearly meant to project themselves onto. Now, to be clear, blank slate characters are not inherently poorly written, like the Bella Swans of the world. They can be blank slates like Arthur Dent from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Clint Eastwood's The Man with No Name, or Link. These are blank slate characters that evoke a genuinely strong, sympathetic response from the reader. And they have just enough personality to be a real person, while still being blank enough for the reader to see themselves in them. I think Avery is like that, a mostly blank slate character, but has just enough personality to get by as a real person. Avery goes the extra mile in just being really bloody smart. We're not just told she's smart either, we're shown that. She actually does smart things. She solves big puzzles and has her own accomplishments and reveals things, so she's easy to cheer for. Avery's deeper character arc is all about trying to remain herself despite all the fame and wealth and power she's been offered. She has to stay grounded despite all the temptations. Now, the most important side characters are the brothers, the grandkids of the recently passed billionaire. Now, technically, there are 4 of them, but they are not given equal priority in the story. The top 2 are easily Jameson and Grayson. These 2 guys are very much the happy trope and the grumpy trope. Yes, Grumpy Grayson and the Golden Retriever Jameson. Yeah, it's Squidward and SpongeBob.
Have you finished those errands?
Grumpy Grayson is convinced that this is all a scam and Avery's just here to steal their money. Whereas Jameson is convinced that she is the ultimate riddle, and he's excited to work with her and solve the mystery of it all. Unfortunately, unlike Avery, I don't think these 2 go much deeper than their starting trope. They stay as rain clouds and sunshine for the whole series. And that's why I thought that the bridging novel that focused on the 2 of them was a bit weaker. Finally, the wider Hawthorne family is a big part of the story. There's several generations, and there's extended family, and then there's former family members who all exist inside this network. There is a family tree, but don't look it up because there's technically spoilers in it. This part is all handled quite well. It is a lot of names and people to remember at the start, but once you meet a character, it's pretty easy for them to stay in your mind because the author makes them unique. It's easy to keep track of them because of memorable character traits and, straightforward personalities. There's a lot of depth to this story. Themes of wealth, classism, inheritance, fame, corruption of power, everything. This is an excellent example of young adult stories that can be simple, but still filled with many layers of meaning. First, there's the issue of fame. People often assume that fame equals happiness. And let's face it, that is a common belief among young people today and within influencer culture. But Avery's fame very quickly makes her a target. Paparazzi stalk her everywhere she goes, people lie about her online, and run false, unflattering stories to hurt her reputation. Everyone commentates on her life and treats her unfairly, and we see how she's no longer considered a human being, but just a source of people's entertainment.
He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
Another theme is how wealth can change a person, or how wealth can change how people perceive a person. Avery struggles to maintain friendships from before her inheritance. People treat her differently now. Plus, she has a small army of staff who will obey her every instruction and follow her orders, and give her all the fancy, luxurious items she needs. It's enough to make a person lose themselves.
I'm afraid you've gone mad with power.
That said, this series is weird in how it depicts billionaires. You see, in book 1, it shows a very romanticized view of billionaires, that they are clearly the smartest, and the hardest working, and the very best of humanity. And Tobias Hawthorne is literally some sort of demigod and hero and genius among men. I personally found this part a bit frustrating. It got me reaching for my hammer and sickle, and my guillotine. Yet, later in the series, this depiction of billionaires starts to change. The series starts to consider the idea that a fortune of that size can only be accumulated by lying or cheating or ripping people off or other very unethical means. And it challenges the idea of why should billionaires even exist? Does anyone really need that much money? This theme is weird because I swear it just changed halfway through the trilogy. As a rule, though, I never want to speculate on what an author intended or what their motivation was in a book, but at the same time, this theme felt to me like it started out romanticizing billionaires, and then the author changed her opinion and introduced a new version of this theme. But adjacent to that, I also want to talk about the grandsons, because there are 4 boys in this family, and they are all insanely talented. They have a million different skills, and it's always because granddad paid for their education.
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
So they can play world-class violin, or draw comic books, or pick locks, or whatever the plot needs them to do. The boys are all incredibly smart and hardworking and just so damn ethical. I just disagree with this. Most rich kids aren't like that. They're like Joffrey, spoiled little
I don't need to do anything.
But this does connect with the final theme, which is greed. The younger generation is not greedy, and they don't care about the wealth, where many in the older generation are obsessed with the inheritance and just can't let it go, and we see what it turns them into. So there's meant to be a juxtaposition between the generations of family and their attitude towards wealth. The young adult genre is not just about young protagonists, it's about stories that are relevant for people in the young phase of life. Stories about finding yourself, questioning your place in the world, and questioning everything you've been taught so far. Like all good young adult books, Inheritance Games questions and rebels. Avery questions why she's been brought here and why this life was thrust upon her. She questions if she should really go along with what everyone seems to expect her to do. We also see the older generation of adults are all stuck in their greed and ambition, and the younger generation has to rise to the occasion. Classic young adult trope. Although this story does feature the dreaded love triangle, and it's will she choose the grumpy boy or the sunshine boy? Now look, normally I'll defend the love triangle trope if it's done well, but this is just so very familiar and not that difficult of a decision. All I'll say is that at least this plot point didn't last the entire trilogy. But finally, we also watch Avery come of age, another classic of the young adult genre. Avery's childhood ends abruptly with the sudden bestowing of inheritance, so she has to grow up quickly, like many people whose childhood ends before they're really ready. So Avery has to scramble to mature and catch up. But now, let's move beyond the first trilogy. Brothers Hawthorne switches focus onto the brothers Jameson and Grayson, so avoiding spoilers here, but Avery is just not the protagonist of this book, and all that stuff with the inheritance, that's just over. And so now these two characters take the spotlight and have their own quests. Grayson is reaching out to his extended family to finally confront the secrets of his past. Meanwhile, Jameson has to infiltrate a high-stakes gambling club for the uber wealthy. So this is where I'm going to be a bit negative today, because Grayson's story, yes, is very much incomplete at the end of Trilogy 1. So the book was necessary to give us a resolution to his character arc. But Jameson's story reads like filler. Like it's just there to get Grayson's story up to the necessary page count to be classified as a novel. I honestly think this should have just been a side novella about Grayson. Yet, even then, I still don't think Grayson's story got a real resolution. Just more stuff happened and things progressed a little bit. At some point, I think it's clear that the book just changed focus to start setting up the next trilogy and almost dragged that resolution out. The plot lines of book 4 also change a lot in content. So remember at the start we said the first trilogy has the life or death stakes, the puzzles, and the family secrets, and they all overlap. Well, this time Grayson's plot is the family secrets over there, and Jameson's plot is the puzzles over there. So they're not integrated at all, and there's no life and death plot line, so the stakes are overwhelmingly lower. So this is why I'm not continuing with this series at this point, because I found book 4 underwhelming. But let's talk briefly about the second trilogy, The Grandest Game. So I know that the concept is that the Hawthorne estate, broadly speaking, is running a series of games, much like the mansion puzzle of the first trilogy. Anyone in the world can now compete for a chance to earn their fortune. But this trilogy has not caught my interest just yet. For one, it looks like there is once again no life and death stakes. Second, the new players might bring with them their own secrets and their own backstories, but that's very different to uncovering the family secrets of the Hawthorne Empire, you know? This trilogy looks to me at this stage like it's about the puzzles, and the puzzles were by far the least interesting plotline to me. And also, Trilogy 2 just sounds like Beast Games, and I despise Beast Games. I mean, exploiting the desperately poor for our entertainment is kinda f***ed up.
What did you exploit today?
But hey, if I'm wrong about this, please let me know. At this point, I'm waiting to see what the critics say when the trilogy is wrapped up and completed. If it gets a lot of love, then I may give it a try in the future. There is, on the surface, quite limited representation here. This story is about the Hawthorns, which is a white family dynasty. So there's only really one mixed race character, Xander, and then there's Avery's Asian friend from school, and there's one queer reference about two girls who used to date. But I do think this is a good example of representing the issue of privilege. We see the Hawthorns be shielded from consequences for their actions by their wealth, their class, and their social standing. When Avery joins the family, she is largely outclassed because of her less extensive education. And the family structure is very patriarchal, so Avery faces expectations of how she should behave because of her gender. It's a nuanced study on how privilege or a lack of privilege affects people differently. There is very little content warning to worry about here, which I think is great. I think there's a trend lately of filling young adult books with as much adult content as possible. Some people just want clean stories. So this series has very little violence, zero sexual content, and very mild swearing. So there's a few adult themes about abusive family members, but that's really it. It's quite kid-friendly. Is the ending worth it? So look, so far, I enjoyed the ending of book 3. That was a firm resolution, which I appreciated. However, there is a lot of people who complain about some of the revelations to the mystery. I thought they worked just fine. I didn't have strong feelings about it either way, but there is a portion of the fandom that thought it was a letdown, so I feel like I should give you a heads up about that. And how much should you try? I think the first book is as good as the rest of the trilogy. You can try book 1 and you'll know if it's right for you. Just keep in mind that there are many unresolved mysteries at the end of book 1, one. So you can choose for yourself if you want to keep going after that. So that's all. Good luck and happy reading. Now, thank you for watching. If you want to support my work, please consider checking out my books, The Immortal Investigations, an urban fantasy mystery series, available now in all formats, including audiobooks. Please also check out my online shop and my Patreon for other ways to support me. Otherwise, subscribe for more book reviews just like this one, and tell me your thoughts on the Inheritance games. Did it live up to the mega hype in your eyes? And did you end up reading the rest of the books? I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoy a good book today. Bye.